study lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is an exciting lesson as usually. The Millennium on the Earth, and today's lesson June 25th. We are June 25th. Almost this month is over and we're going to be starting a new month. And this week is last week of this quarterly. And next quarterly, it would be I believe on the book of Mark. I believe that it would be on. Anyway, so the millennium on the earth we have in Revelation 20. We discussed Revelation 19 already. We see Jesus is coming and the wicked praying for the rocks, and they're hiding in the mountains and the caves from the glory of God, and asked to be destroyed, because who is able to stand before the Lord, right? And now in 20, the story is not quite over, because we're going to find out what is happening now after Jesus is coming, after he's taking the people away, and this earth is going to be desolated, is going to be the wicked is going to be dead, and Satan and his angel is going to be bound on this earth for 1,000 years, and as known the millennium. So what is happening during this time? Well, let's first look at Revelation 20 verses 1 to 3. In verses 1 to 3 it says this: Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal on him, so that he should deceive the nation no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after this thing he must be released for a little while. Okay, what do we see here? What is happening here? So we know that the imagery here in Revelation 21 to 3 is symbolic, okay? It's not literally a chain, but what we see that Satan is going to be bound on this earth for 1,000 years. He won't be able to go anywhere. He couldn't be able to visit anywhere in the universe, won't be able to deceive anyone. He and his angels will be on this earth all alone, with no one, and to contemplate and reflect what sin has done to this earth. For 1,000 years he would be on this earth, bound on this earth with no people around. It will be depopulated and bound by circumstances created by himself. He has created the sin, he has created all these circumstances, and he's going to contemplate on that. But let's see what is really, because many people think, well, how he going to be shoved in a pit? Well, when we think of pit, we think of a big gigantic hole so deep that no one can come out, okay? Satan is still an angel, but something is happening here, and we're going to find out. Actually, I have a very good paragraph from early writings that I'm gonna read to you just in a little bit. In 2 Peter 2:4, let's go almost to the beginning of the beginning, and how this earth was created and what this earth was before it was created. In 2 Peter 2:4 it says, For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. Okay, what we see here, we see that chains of darkness, and it was reserved for the judgment. And also, if you see in here, it says to be cast down to hell. Well, is this earth the hell is talking about here? Well, it has to be, because Satan will be confined to this earthly by a chain of circumstances with no one to tempt. You will be no one to tempt. Everyone is going to be taken away. The righteous are going to be taken away with Christ, and then the wicked will be all dead. And then for 1,000 years he will see the devastation, distraction and disaster that his rebellion has created. So in another way, this earth, when Jesus appeared, remember that a mountain is gonna be destroyed, sea is gonna disappear. I mean, it's going to be a chaotic surface of the earth. It's going to be a distractive. Everything is gonna be distractive. City is gonna be destroyed. Just a little bit. I'm gonna bring another Bible verse here that will back that up. And it would be a disaster. It would be a hell to live on this earth, and the condition that will be left after Jesus is ascending back with the saints to heaven. But let's go step by step so we don't get ahead. So the Greek word translated bottomless pit. So here is, which I learned too recently. When we search Bible text, and sometimes the translation can mean different things because cannot literally translate the Hebrew or the Greek word in the meaningful way that it was meant by the writer or the author. So you need to get yourself a concordance Hebrew and Greek, and you search those keywords, and you would see that would be translated and meaning different things than sometimes it's translated even in English. Some words you cannot even translate them in English. So it's very important. Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't understand what this means. So you go in the concordance and you're going to get to the text and look for that specific word, and it's going to give you the definition, the proper definition that was written in. So the Greek word translated bottomless pit is the same word which we can get from English word abyss. It also is the same word used as Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, to describe the earth creation. Okay, when we go to Genesis, we know that the earth was dark, was void, was nothing on it, right? So that's how it's gonna be too in the end of time. So the earth was without form, it was void, and darkness, it fell on the face of the deep, and that is in Genesis 1:2, right? Okay, so in the Septuagint, the word deep here, and in the Greek word abyssus, which is abyss, is described a desolate earth. Okay, is a desolate earth. Nothing is upon the earth. No trees, no cities, nothing. Everything is going to be destroyed. I don't know if you guys ever see a movie that I believe there was a movie. I don't know. I don't remember. Was entitled Apocalypse, if I believe, and I think that is illustrating when the city is destroyed. I'm not remembering right if this was the right, but the whole surface of the earth was destroyed. I think many movies they make it where everything is destroyed. It was actually a movie, Wall-E. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. Wall-E. So what happened, the earth was desolated, nobody lived on it, and this little robot is packing garbage and is piling it up, and nobody lives on the earth because nothing was growing on the earth. And then the people was like out in the space, they eating and drinking and whatever they doing in there, and but anyway, what I'm trying to illustrate in here, the earth, it will look desolated with no one on the earth. It will look ugly, will not look beautiful. And I want to read from Jeremiah 4:23 and 26. And when I read this Bible text, it did not click until now when it was put in the same context as we know Jeremiah is prophesying also in the end of time. But I really did not really put it together until I put in the context of the end time events. And here what it says in verse 23. So Jeremiah 4:23 to 26. I beheld the earth, and indeed was without form and void, and the heavens they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and indeed they tremble, and all the hills move back and forth. I beheld, and indeed there was no man, and all the birds of heaven had fled. I beheld, and indeed the fruitful land was a wilderness, and all its cities were broken down at the presence of the Lord by his fierce anger. So I never put this together because I didn't really read verse 26 and the context that was. I was thinking maybe he's talking about the beginning of the world, but he's not. He's talking about the end of the world, because we see that in verse 25 he says, I beheld, and then there was no man. So there is no man on the surface of the earth, and all the birds of heaven have fled. There is no birds also. There is no birds. There is no animals. Everything is dead. There is no life. There is absolutely no life on this earth. And except Satan and his angel would just go through and fro with no one to tempt. And then he says that I beheld, and indeed the fruitful land was a wilderness. So here we see that the land is a wilderness. Have you seen a wilderness, what it looks like? Wilderness here it can be pretty neat. But the wilderness that Jeremiah saw in his vision was not neat. It was ugly. It says that there is no light, and the earth is in darkness. So the earth was in the same state, and even worse, before it was created by God. There is no light. Darkness is on the surface of the earth. The earth also is without form and void. So it's nothing on it. And all the cities here is a thing. In the end, it says all the city were broken down at the presence of the Lord. So when Jesus is coming, everything is destroyed. Absolutely everything. Everything is to the ground. Everything is turned upside down. It says that the cities were broken down at the presence of the Lord by his fierce anger. Well, now we don't see Jesus coming in the clouds, angry as a bull. No, he is gonna come in the clouds with happiness and joy and rejoicing to come to take his people home. Jeremiah 25:33 here says, in that day the slain of the Lord shall be from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented or gathered or buried. They shall become refuse on the ground. So here also what we see, that the dead body of millions of people who were not able to stand from the presence of the Lord, they would be dead. They would be they would die, and their body would be on the ground with no one to bury them. And oh, what a sight, what a disaster that would be. Can you imagine being on this earth? Let's see, you and some other couple millions of people, and it's dispersed all over, and there is no light, there is darkness all over, the cities are destroyed, there is no vegetations, there is no animals. Well, obviously, if anybody would be in that condition, would not last very long because there would be no food. So what I'm saying, that would be a disaster, and the Satan to be living on this earth in that kind of condition for 1,000 years is going to be a nightmare for him. So he knows that. He knows it's coming. He knows the scripture. And anyway, and another thing, with dead bodies all over the place, I don't know. That would be a horrible, horrible thing. But anyway, so what is happening to this in this passage here in Revelation 20, when it says that Satan is bound to this earth, because it says here, Revelation 21:3, that he's having the key. This angel is coming and having the key of the bottomless pit. It's just symbolic, but he has the power. He was entrusted with this power to keep Satan on this earth, bound on this earth. And this dragon, the serpent of old, which is also the devil and Satan, also we see that. And he was bound on this earth for 1,000 years. So how was he bound on this earth for 1,000 years? Well, obviously, his power was taken away by this angel, that he had the power to do so. He was commissioned to go and take Satan the power of flying and going anywhere. Remember, Satan is not God, is not the spirit. He can't be in one place at the same time. So here what I found in early writings, page 290, and I think it was pretty interesting to get a little bit of perspective of what is happening here and how Satan was bound to this earth. During the Millennium, the earth looked like a desolate wilderness. We already established that from the Bible text. Cities and villages shaken down by the earthquake lay in heaps. So we know that the cities that were destroyed and they just pile up. You know, you're familiar with earthquakes, big earthquakes, when building just pile up like a heap. That's what is going to be in the end of time. Because remember, the Bible said it's gonna be a great earthquake that no one sees since the beginning of beginnings, right? So that's what it says. The city's gonna be break down and pile up like a heap from this earthquake. Mountains has been moved out of the places, leaving large caverns. Ragged rocks thrown out by the sea, torn out of the earth itself, were scattered all over its surface. Large trees have been uprooted and were strewn over the land. Here is to be home of Satan with his angels for 1,000 years. Here he will confine to wander up and down over the broken surface of the earth and see the effects of his rebellion against God's law. For 1,000 years he can enjoy the fruit of course which he has caused. Limited alone to the earth, he will not have the privilege of ranging to other planets to tempt and annoy those who have not fallen. During this time, Satan suffered extremely. Since his fall, his evil traits have been in constant exercise. But he is then to be deprived of his power and left to reflect upon the part which he has acted since his fall, and to look toward his trembling and terror to the dreadful future, when he must suffer for all the evil that he has done and be punished for all the sins that he caused to be committed. So that's what we see, that he's going to suffer during that period of time, the 1,000 years. He's going to be confined on this earth. He won't be able to go anywhere. He's going to live on this earth with the city piles up, people, dead bodies all over the place, and also the earth is gonna be void and without form because all the destruction, the earthquake destroy everything. It says that there were the mountains have been moved out of the place and living large caverns, right? Can probably you see caverns pretty deep in the earth, but this is gonna be like just there, open there, and probably it's gonna be pretty messy and ugly. But anyway, so Satan is going to suffer for 1,000 years on this earth in that kind of conditions. And in closing here, I have another little passage from early writings, page 51 says, the rest of the earth will not be cleansed until the end of 1,000 years. So after 1,000 years, the earth is going to be cleansed. But when the wicked dead are raised and gathered up around the city. So at the end of 1,000 years, the earth is still going to be just as ugly as it was during the 1,000 years. And the wicked, they are going to be raised up again for the judgment. And it says, and they gathered around the city. Remember, they were starting gathering around the city. They think they can take the city by their own power. Satan actually is one who is gathering these people for battle. It says, the feet of the wicked will never desecrate the earth made new. Fire will come down from heaven, from God out of heaven, and devour them, burn them up, root and branch. So we see here that Satan is the root and the children are the branches. The same fire that will devour the wicked will purify the earth. So with that said, we get a little bit brighter idea of how this earth is going to be cleansed. So when the fire is coming down from heaven, it's gonna be so great, so powerful, and so big that it cleansing the whole earth. So this means there is nothing, absolutely anything living. Everything is going to be dead, including the wicked is going to be devoured, him and his Satan, because Satan can't flee anymore. He's bound. He will be bound on this earth. His power was taken away because the day has ended for him and his evil angels. So this is our lesson for today. Tomorrow we are going to talk about the judgment during actually the judgment of the millennium, which that is after the 1,000 years. So I'm excited actually to present that lesson to you too. But this is our lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching. And until next time, may God bless you all according to his riches and grace.